A letter to America. Hello and welcome to this new video. Today we're going to do something a little different from what you're used to see on this channel, but something that is very dear to my heart and something that I think is really important. We are going to watch a video of a German project that is a letter to the people in America. It's a positive message for the people who are going through the worst at the moment in this country, the United States of America, due to everything that's happening there. Have you ever heard of the Grannies Against the Far Right? I guess if you don't live in Germany, Swiss, or Austria, you haven't, probably. That's an organization of elderly women. Some of them have gone through World War II and have organized against the far right movement in those three countries that I have just mentioned. I love that organization so much. And they have now written a letter to the people in America because they have a very important message to tell. And I do want to help to spread this message so that more American people can be reached and more American people will hear those important words. Thank you, Birkmann, for uploading this video. And for those of you who do want to read the letter after you've watched the video or want to share the letter on social media, there's also a link. The letter is downloadable so you can share it with everyone you like. Let's jump straight into it.
Dear American citizens, we have an urgent message for all Americans. We are observing a democracy in grave jeopardy, with great risk to the freedoms that Americans hold so dear. We know because we've been there.
Yeah, we have.
And we encourage and support peaceful and civil protests and action to defend and save those freedoms. We are a German non-governmental civil society network of independent organizations and private individuals. One of our members is a working group of Omas gegen Rechts, Grannies Against the Far Right, who, after being founded in Vienna, Austria, in 2017, have been active in Germany since 2018. The Omas are recognized as one of the most influential civil society women's initiatives in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, campaigning against right-wing populism and for democracy. The German Grannies Against the Far Right are mostly women who grew up in post-war Germany. Some of them experienced the Second World War themselves. In this network, we have joined forces to take a stand against right-wing extremist ideologies and fascism. Given Germany's history, we see this as our collective duty, especially to our children and grandchildren.
Yeah.
We know from our own experience how fascism can destroy a country, its freedom, and its society. And it is our responsibility to leave our descendants and future generations a world in which there is no place for dictatorship, hatred, and fear.
And that's the reason why I'm sharing this video. I do want to spread this message. I do want people to hear this, not only in the US, but in other countries as well, because we can see it in the US how far it went. However, the same problem goes for every single European country at the moment. The whole world is shifting more to the right. So this is not only for Americans, but for everyone.
World War II destroyed Europe and killed millions of people.
Yeah, it did.
Promises of greatness and superiority led our nation into a war of annihilation against our neighbors. These promises duped people into following its egregious and inhumane ideology about unworthy life.
Yeah.
It has taken generations to try to heal these wounds, and they remain.
They still remain. They still remain. Like I've said in so many videos before, Second World War is in history and school. It's the topic. It's almost the only topic you talk about. And if you go and visit Berlin, there are memories of the Second World War everywhere. And not only parts of the walls that are still up there, and not only famous places like, for example, Charlie's Checkpoint, but there are so many memorials in that city reminding you of the Second World War wherever you go. And that it should never ever happen again. Never again. Never again is one of the most important things if you grow up in Germany, that sentence, never again. And it's very complicated if you think about it, because on the one hand, you kind of want to forget what happened back then, because you as a younger generation don't feel obligated anymore to feel bad for what has happened because you weren't there and it wasn't your fault. But on the other hand, you're not supposed to forget, because history will repeat itself if you forget. And that's the crux there. And it never lets you go. And still nowadays, every German feels some kind of guilt looking back at what happened there. The wounds are not healed, not even 100 years later.
That is why after the Second World War, Germany took an oath on which our constitution is based. Never again will we allow ourselves to be ruled by fascism. Without the United States, the Allied forces would not have succeeded in liberating Germany from the terror of Nazism.
That's true.
We remain profoundly grateful for this. Without your country, Germany would not have democracy today.
Yeah.
This connects our two countries. And it is the reason we appeal to you so urgently today to warn all Americans, your democracy is in danger. When we look at today's America, we see a deeply divided nation. We no longer see the country that helped liberate us a mere 80 years ago. What we see today leaves us profoundly shaken. Make America Great Again is a right-wing populist slogan. And slogans like these justify fascism.
Yeah.
We know because we have seen this before. We understand how fascism grows and how it manipulates citizens with false promises that exploit their fears and prejudices. We know, because in our country too, people longed for a strong leader and believed his promises.
We know how it grows because we do not only learn about the Second World War and what happened there, we learn what happened before it even started and the steps that Hitler took in order to get there, in order to be able to do what he did. And that's what exactly all those small steps that he took is what we see in the US day after day after day. All those small steps. And we as Germans, due to our education when it comes to fascism, can see all of that. And I think that Americans might have learned it the other way around. They probably haven't learned how fascism was built back then, but they probably have learned how they came to the rescue and freed us from fascism, which is also a very important part. But I think the most important part that we should really talk about is how it started, so that we can see it if it happens again. And I don't think that Americans learn that part in history very much. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I have gotten comments of people who live in America and went through the education system in America, and they have told me that the most talked about part is the end of the Second World War and not the beginning.
MAGA leaders are quickly destroying American democracy, American society, and increasingly the American economy, while enriching themselves in the process.
Yeah.
It was no different here in 1933.
Exactly.
At first, some people believed they were benefiting from Hitler's policies, but that changed quickly. The fascists had already divided people into categories and cruelly judged their worth and their lives. Once Hitler became Imperial Chancellor in January 1933, it took the Nazis only 2 months to completely destroy Weimar democracy. Watching your federal government occupy cities and target migrants is eerily familiar. The rapid destruction of the rule of law, suppression of speech, including the press, universities, science and basic right of assembly, imperialist fantasies about conquering other countries, even allies, information control and centralized propaganda, blatant corruption at the highest level, violent expulsion of people under the guise of illegal migration, and an exodus of the brightest minds to other countries where they can freely do their work.
Yeah.
MAGA cannot offer a future to the American dream. Worse, the crisis of your democracy is directly linked to our future and indeed that of the world. But there is hope.
This is so true. This is so true. Sometimes people, when they look to America nowadays, when they look to the United States, they think what's happening over there is only their concern. And if they shift into a dictatorship, it's their problem. But actually, it isn't. The United States of America is such an important country for the whole planet. And also, what we've learned from the Epstein files that were released a few days ago, the people who tried or who are actively trying to push the United States into a dictatorship are doing the same here in Europe, in several countries. They are paying those parties, they are connecting with them, and they are trying to empower them in order to destroy the democracy that we live in here in Europe. So no, it's not only a problem in the US, it's a problem for the whole planet.
But there is hope. We are seeing peaceful resistance to this new fascism. Most recently, as a response to ISIS violence in Minneapolis and in other cities. The No Kings movement has mobilized millions of protesters. These demonstrations are larger than anything that was seen in Germany after 1933.
That's true.
The time to act is now. History has taught us that all it takes for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing. We believe in the goodness of the American people. We know that there are millions of citizens on both sides of the political spectrum who are deeply concerned about the path their country is on, including those who thought their vote would make America great.
Yes, that's so true. I've seen several YouTube videos from people who voted MAGA and are deeply regretful, and they try to get back to the other side. What's really important, and not only in America but also in the rest of the world, is that if you have relatives or friends or other people you know from somewhere that are regretting what they did and they voted for a right fascist party, they regret it. It's really important to embrace their decision to come back to the right side in history and to support them in their new beliefs and not to judge them by what they did, even if it led to the result, for example, that President Trump is now President Trump. But if a MAGA person deeply regrets voting for him, we shouldn't put them down. We should embrace their change of mind and strengthen their new views so that we get those people back. We need more and more people for this peaceful movement. Don't cancel those who see that they made a mistake. And also look for dialogue with people. I have seen people on the internet that are so deep into the MAGA movement, they won't even believe the Epstein files are real because they haven't seen a 4K video of Donald Trump doing stuff. But there are other people who are still reachable, and we have to open up the dialogue and just try and get those people back on our side. One person more for our movement is one person more for our movement. And we have to do everything that we can to get those people back on our side.
Many hope for a better future, but all they've gotten are lies. The time is now for the citizens of America to stand up to fascism and defend your democracy, just as you did for Germany and the world. you still have a chance what our ancestors failed to do. Know that you are not alone. We are facing similar dangers here in Germany
Yeah.
and Europe. But there's many good people standing up for each other, for democracy, human rights, and a positive shared future. Never again is now.
Thank you so much for this video. It's really important. Please share this positive message. If you don't want to share the video, share the letter on your social media. I think it's a very positive one. It's a little more serious than my usual videos. Usually my videos are more happy and entertaining, but these topics are very important to me as well. And this is part of me as a person. I do want to use my voice for the good, and this is what I did with this video. I hope that some of the people who watched this video really appreciate what the Omas gegen Rechts, the grannies against the far right, did with this letter. Just spread a positive message in those dark times that we live in every single day. Thank you so much for watching this video together with me, and I'll see you in the next one, where we'll probably react to something more happy. Have a nice day. Bye!